Hello, thanks for joining me. Hope you're having a great day. Happy summer to you, essentially. We're just about there. Weather's kind of turning, and we're just grateful for all the blessings we have from the Lord. It's as I mentioned, we're moving into the summer and all the activities that come with summer. And I want to share with you just, as a lot of you can probably relate to what I'm going to say, is that you're pulling your bikes out, you're pulling your lawnmowers out, tractors, whatever it is, to do yard work. And when summertime's coming up, we tend to tune these things up, if you will. We check out our bikes, make sure they're working all right. We check out our lawnmowers, check the blades, make sure the oil's fine, the air filter on it, everything's working right, the pull on it's okay, the cord, and that starts, the spark plug, and so on and so forth. We tune things up, right? So last summer, one of my sons, he came home, and he's like, "Daddy, you got to fix my bike." And I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Well, the chain is off. The chain was off the sprocket and just hanging there. And of course, without the chain being connected, you're not going anywhere. Of course, unless you have a 3-mile hill and you just coast down the hill, that'd be great, but you're going to have to walk the bike back up, right? So kind of useless when the chain is not connected." And that's the analogy I want to make today to our own spiritual journey, and especially as Christians. And there's something I want to point out that I think is really, really important for us to consider. And it's this: the chain can either be too tight or too loose. And for the chain to be most effective and to get the best ride, and for the bike to be at maximum efficiency, there has to be just the right amount of tension. Now, they say that if you take the chain and you move it up on the bottom and you bounce it, and it has about a half inch or so of play, that's the perfect tension, roughly. But yes, tension is the word. It sounds kind of negative when we hear the word tension, but tension is actually a very good thing. And you need just the right amount of tension for the bike to work best. Now, when you're putting a chain on a bike or you're making adjustments, it is absolutely possible to over-tighten the chain. When you over-tighten the chain, that's not good. Because what it does is there's too much stress, there's too much tension that's going on between the sprocket and the gears in the back, and it makes it very hard. And the teeth on the sprocket where the chain is on, there gives a lot of pull and pressure on them, and if you keep going that way, you can actually damage those teeth and other components, in fact, of the bike. Now, when the chain is too tight, it's actually very difficult to pedal too. It can be very difficult to pedal. It takes more work. And so because it takes more work, it becomes inefficient and you get tired and faster, and then you won't be using your bike after a little while because you'll be more tired. The same is true for a motorcycle. I mean, if you have the chain too tight on a motorcycle, the engine actually works too hard because there's too much tension in the chain. It's a fact. You can look it up. I don't have a motorcycle, but I have a bike, and that's what happens. The opposite causes you to lose power as well and not be efficient and effective in using the bike properly. If the chain is too loose, then you will also lose power. You won't have power. You will not have power transfer because the friction is too little. The tension is too small, and so you're not able to transfer the power from the pedals, from you pedaling, through the sprocket and those teeth to the wheels in the back, to the gears. It just won't work. You're not going to have power. You won't go. So it's really important to have the proper amount of tension. So what's the point here? The point is simply this, is that there is something for us, a comparison to make, an analogy for us, as I mentioned. We can often take things into our own hands or just kind of approach our lives and our Christianity with the chain of our bicycle, if I could put it that way, either being too tight or being too loose. When the chain is too tight, it's usually an indication that we are really heavy on the works side of things. We want to do so much, and we want to do it our way. We want to make sure we're staying productive. And even to go a little further, maybe we're more like on heading towards like a legalistic or a law side, that we got to make sure that we keep the law. We can't do anything wrong. When you have that mentality and that approach, there's a lot of tension. Too much tension, in fact. And you stress yourself out spiritually because you're wondering, am I doing too much? And you're feeling the pressure, and then you pass it on to other people. And it might even be like the Pharisees, who ended up making life difficult. Jesus rebuked them for that because they were constantly adding to the law, and they were burdening people with that. When your chain is really tight, it's a burden. I'll just put it that way. But the opposite, when the chain is too loose, could be an indication that we are too grace heavy. And I almost feel bad saying that we're too grace heavy, because we can't do anything apart from God's grace. And we understand that. We can't be saved apart from His grace. We can't even do good things apart from His grace. We accept that. But what I mean by too grace heavy is that we cheapen God's grace, and we're too tolerant. We're too lax. We're too lazy or apathetic maybe in our own discipline or spiritual journey. We let things go. We don't check things out to make sure they work. We just let it go. And the longer we do that, the chain gets more and more loose, and then it falls off. And if it falls off, of course, we're not going anywhere. The bike isn't going to go anywhere. You have no chain to transfer or to get that power from the sprockets, the pedals, back to the wheels. It's just not going to happen. So I want to encourage you to do something. And it's a little different context, but in John chapter 15 and verse 5, Jesus says something. One statement. At the end of verse 5, he says, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." Can't do anything apart from Jesus. Because when we do it apart from Jesus and it's our own strength, we tend to be too tense or too loose. But we need that perfect balance. And we need to go in just like we tune up our lawnmowers or tune up our bikes for the summer by getting the brakes checked out and getting the hubs and everything lubed up and getting the chain tightened right and getting the gear shifter okay. We got to pull in to Jesus' little workshop, if you will, and let Him work on us, and let him to take that chain and adjust it to just the right tension. So where are you? Is your chain really tight? Or are you just so chill, you're so loose that you don't even realize it, but soon enough, that chain's going to fall off and you won't be going anywhere? Maybe it's too tight, as I mentioned, and you're getting tired, and it's tiring for you. Well, let Jesus loosen it up so it's the right tension so you can be productive. And just one last thing. You've got to have tension as a Christian in this world. If there's no tension, we're not going to have any production. That's just the way it is, because we're in the world, we're not of the world as followers of Jesus, but we're going to experience tension. But let's not create tension unnecessarily in that chain, and let's not put too much slack in it by our own doing and compromising what God expects. So you know what? Get a tune-up. You'll have a great summer that way in your spiritual life. Get a tune-up, your bike will run well, and in the end, hopefully we can be as productive as possible for Jesus. So let's get checked out, let's get tuned up, and let's adjust the tension on our chain. God bless you. Have a great day.